Okay, we should be live now. Let's just see, make sure we're nice and good. Up. Okay, and we're good. Nice and good. Up. Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, so this is just kind of an impromptu live stream that I'm doing. Wait, okay, yeah. Twitch chat. Okay. Yep. So this, they finally released the new HP X360 AMD model. So for those of you guys that don't know, I wrote a review of this about a year ago, last August, I believe it was. And here it is even. This is the 2016 model of the HP X360. It was great because for a little over $600, you got a quad-core processor, pretty good graphics. I could run all my games at medium to high settings, and $600, and it's still pretty thin. I mean, it's about the thickness of a 2015 MacBook Pro. So before they went to the super thin design, yeah, that thickness. So it was a great laptop. And then later, actually at the beginning of this year in February, I made this video and this article about what I would change about this. And then later, a few weeks ago, I actually had a live stream where I talked about how HP unveiled their new model, which is this, and it said coming soon. And I was super excited because, first of all, we can see it's got this new design. So compared to the old one, you guys can kind of see this. It's got thinner bezels, it's a little smaller. It's got the new HP logo instead of the circle thing. It's a sleeker design, more in line with what HP's new trends have been, starting with the Spectre line. So it looks nice. But one of the things that I was not expecting, and that's kind of the reason I decided to do this live stream, kind of just rant about it a bit, was the internals. So this one that I have has the FX 9800P. It's an APU. It's a quad-core based on the Bulldozer architecture, more specifically Bristol Ridge architecture. For those of you that don't know, Bristol Ridge is supposed to bring the old Bulldozer or Piledriver architecture to the new Ryzen platform. So on the desktop side, at least, with the motherboards, it's intercompatible. So you can have the old gen and the new gen on the same, and the idea was that we could get all the features like DDR4 memory of the new platform before it came out, especially with the APU side, because there's still no Ryzen APUs. So yeah, enough about that. That's what this came with, and the promise was that next year we'd get the Ryzen model. And when we first got the announcement, I was actually really excited because it's a smaller size. Obviously, the bezels are smaller, so the battery is smaller. And in fact, if you look here in the specs, it says it's a 55.8 watt hour, and the old one was, I believe, 60 something. The old one being this one was about 60 something. So it's a smaller battery, and yet they were claiming a bigger battery. They were claiming 10 hours of battery life with the AMD model, whereas this one had about 6.5 hours. So I actually did a little bit of digging. I found that when they first announced this laptop, they were claiming 10 hours, but on the actual spec sheet, it was closer to like 6.5 hours, which is what I found. So when I when I was writing the review, I looked at the spec sheet, my own experience, and it was the same thing. So I'm like, okay, awesome. But I didn't notice that at the beginning they were advertising 10 hours, which is what they're doing here. They're advertising 10 hours, and they're not saying anything here. They're just, when they announced it, they said 10 hours, which is probably not going to be the case because, sorry, this does not have Ryzen mode. This was this thing I was super excited about. I was actually going to sell this laptop to buy this one because it took all the good things here, made them a bit better, and added Ryzen. It was awesome. But no, it still has the same exact 9800P processor. So I want to go through this list of what I would change, and then let's see what they changed instead. So first, Zen plus Vega, I just mentioned they didn't have that. It still has Bristol Ridge, which has Bulldozer plus Hawaii or Fiji, the old one. So I wanted to have Ryzen Mobile, which would have 4 Zen CPUs with, I believe it was up to 10 Vega GPU compute unit core things. Instead of 4 plus 8, it'd be like 4 plus 10, and it was going to be a lot better. No, we don't get that. We still get Bristol Ridge, the same exact processor. So that's disappointing. SSD. Before, there were 2 models you can get. One had the FX9800P, which is what I have, and one had the A129700P, which was like 0.2 gigahertz lower, and I think it had like a quarter of a meg less cache, something like that. If you got the lower option, you could get either just the 1 terabyte hard drive, or a 128 gig SSD plus the 1 terabyte hard drive. If you got the FX processor, you just got the 1 terabyte hard drive. The reason I got this one was because it was the only model available at launch, which is, I got it almost immediately. But they've completely ditched that. So now it just have the 9800P and just has 1 terabyte hard drive. So no SSD. So going from just one SSD option to no SSD at all. And I actually wanted them to have more SSD options, make it a little more customizable. Nope. You get a hard drive. That's it. Next, I/O and charging. So this one has here on the left, we have a power button, which actually I didn't really like the power button because it was really easy to accidentally push. We have Kensington lock, which doesn't even fit. It's too small. USB 3.0 Type A, headphone jack, volume rocker. On the right side, we have power HDMI, USB 3.0 Type A, USB 3.0 Type C, important 3.0 Type C, and an SD card reader. What I suggested was Type C 3.1 on the left and right for charging, moving the power button to the top, like in the keyboard area. On the left, also having, or on both sides actually, having a Type A next to the Type C, still 3.1. And then on the left, having the headphone, microphone jack, and volume rocker. On the right, having HDMI and an SD card reader. They didn't quite do that, but they did improve it. So let's start with the right. On the right side, they still have the power button, but the HDMI port was actually moved to the left. The volume rocker was moved to the right. The Type C and SD card reader, I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to still see OBS. It's here. This was moved down to like over here, so closer to the bottom of the laptop. So the HDMI and SD and volume rocker switched sides, and the Type C port actually became 3.1 Gen 1. So it's still Gen 1, so it's not quite as fast as Gen 2, but at least it's full Type C, and it's not just a regular USB 3.0, but in a Type C form factor. No, it has 5 gigabits per second, it has additional power delivery, and it has DisplayPort, which is awesome. Yes, awesome. Not as fast as Gen 2, and you can't charge the laptop with it, but definite improvement. Yes, awesome. Thank you. On the left side, we have HDMI, so that's where the HDMI port went. USB Type A. It says 3.1 Gen 1, but when it's Type A, it really only is 3.0. And then the power button, I mentioned it. That's a good thing they did. They moved it down a little, so it's a little harder to accidentally bump. And it's also smaller and more inlaid. So it's not just this big kind of flimsy-ish thing that's sticking out. It's nice and in there, a lot harder to accidentally press. Awesome. And then the headphone jack is just moved down more for some reason. So I/O is not quite where I'd like it to be, but it's definitely an improvement. So I'm gonna give them a okay here. So they're 1 for 3. The numlock key should have an LED. I don't know exactly if that's the case, but knowing HP, probably not. So I'm going to say they're 1 for 4. Form factor. So I suggested that they not make it thinner or thicker, because it's the same thickness as the 2015 MacBook Pro, which I think is like the ideal thickness for this. So I said instead of making it this wedge shape, because, well, when it's in tablet form, although, to be fair, yes, it's a 15-inch tablet. You're not going to use it as a tablet. It has this gap. And it still does have it. Spoiler alert. It still has the wedge and it still has that gap. I said make it a little more like a Razer Blade or a MacBook Pro where it has that more rectangular. You could on this side make it round or whatever you need to so that it's still convertible. Here, I mean, it's less round. It's more angled and it looks sleeker, but that doesn't matter. The point is on this end, I wanted it to be a lot less of a wedge and a lot more of a rectangle. What that would do is that would eliminate this gap here, and it would also leave a little more room on the sides. It would overall thickness would stay the same, but on the sides it would be thicker, it would be a more consistent thickness, and that would allow for a bit more battery, which would add a bit better of a battery life. And combined with Zen, it would be a lot better. I mean, we could get up to like 15 hours battery life with this same size, but slightly thicker around the edges, so better battery and a much more efficient processor, a lot better battery life. No, it's the same wedge, and it's smaller on the sides, and it's a less efficient processor. I mean, it's the same one as this one, but it's not as efficient as I would have liked it to be, which overall results in lower battery life. So, whoop-de-doo, they're 1 for 6. Sorry, 1 for 5. But 6, bigger battery, it's a smaller battery. I've already covered it. They're 1 for 6. Webcam and microphone. Okay, they're 2 for 7. Awesome. We went from a crappy 720p webcam with a bad microphone that was passable if all you're doing is, you know, Skyping with your parents every once in a while. But, you know, for business use, I would recommend it's a bit better for webcam, and the microphone is not great when you are on Discord. There's a lot of people talking, and there's the game sounds. It sounds really bad. So here we have a full HD camera with a dual array digital microphone. So it's looking like the webcam and microphone are going to be improved. They were passable, now they're going to be good. Awesome. They're 2 for 7. 8 RAM. No. They're one 8 gig stick of RAM. That's it. I wanted to have dual channel because that dual channel actually helps APUs a lot because it's a lot faster. And since, you know, that's the regular RAM is the VRAM for an APU, being able to access it faster helps a lot with performance. Nah, just one 8 gig stick of RAM, and not even more RAM. I asked for like 16 gigs, maybe 12 gigs, 16 gigs. I personally would have gone with like a 12 gig model. No, still just 8 gigs. So, you know, 2 for 8, and then Linux support is looking like it's not going to be improved. So, what is really new? They have the new sleeker design, which looks like it also has better cooling, so I'm not really going to complain about this design. And then they've upgraded to Type-C. The full Type-C. So the improvements that they've made are welcome improvements. Design, I might have gone a little different, but I can see why they would do this. It's definitely going to sell a lot more. This, while it is thin, it still does, especially because of the bezels, seem like it's a bit of a chunkier laptop. So this is definitely making it seem a lot sleeker. And, you know, it's got the full Type-C, which is always welcome. But the internal specs, the main thing I really wanted was Ryzen Mobile, and they didn't give it to me. There's no Ryzen Mobile. We're still stuck with Bristol Ridge. So let's just hope that there's going to be another 2017 model in time for the holidays, which has Ryzen Mobile. Because if I can get this with an SSD and Ryzen Mobile, most likely I'm going to sell this thing and buy that. It's going to be amazing. But for now, I'm a bit disappointed. But, I mean, yes, I get Ryzen Mobile is not coming out until, like, late August, I believe it was. Late August, early September. Q3 was the time frame, and knowing AMD, that's when I'm guessing it's going to be out. They didn't really want to wait. They wanted something ready in June, at the beginning of summer. Something ready, especially before school starts for most people, so they just went ahead and stuck with Bristol Ridge. Still updated their design so that it would sell better. So I understand why they did this. I don't really blame them. But that doesn't stop me from being a little bit disappointed with them. But, yeah, that was my little rant there on the new laptop. I've already talked to my contact at HP. I don't think I'm going to get much information because he works actually at the enterprise area. Not in the consumer part, and they actually split recently. So he doesn't really have much information about the consumer. But, you know, I still emailed him just in case. But anyways, that's really it for this live stream. I just wanted to rant about the fact that they didn't really improve much. It's got a new design and it looks nicer, but it's not really much of an improvement. I'd still recommend it. Yes, I would still recommend it. Because it doesn't really hurt. I mean, yes, battery life may go down a little bit, but the cooling seems to be better, so it's more efficient. Maybe they found a more efficient power delivery. So maybe battery life is going to be the same, especially if they're advertising the same battery life. So still, especially because you can't get this one anymore, I would still just recommend go with it. It's 640 bucks. It's not a bad deal at all, still. And it's got a better design, got that better Type-C, so why not? If you need something right now, go with it. Because who knows, we might have to wait until next summer to get this refresh with Ryzen Mobile. I'm hoping it's ready earlier, like, still in Q3. Like maybe at the end of Q3, maybe beginning of Q4. I'd like to see a Ryzen refresh. But who knows? Okay. I'm gonna end it first before I'm rambling. Don't forget to follow me at SolidStateTweet on Twitter, so you get the first updates on everything. Check out my website, solidstateblog.com. That's where you can find the written versions of these articles. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see more cool content from me. I have a video coming up very soon about AMD's new stock coolers. Actually, the doorbell just rang a couple minutes ago. I think that might be them, so that's exciting. Stay subscribed to make sure you don't miss that. And I will see you guys in the next one.